Hey everyone. So there's this concept in massage therapy that's called referred pain. I don't know if you've ever heard of this concept, but a lot of times someone will come in, they're like, hey, it hurts right here. And now right here, wherever it may be, isn't always what's causing the pain. It's where you're feeling the pain, but it's not always, not even usually, the cause of the pain. So, here's my example. I am having my C4 vertebrae pop in and out. That's where the pain hurts, where it's at. But when you know anatomy, you know that bones don't cause pain. It's the muscles that are attached to the bones and that are pulling the bones out of place that are causing the pain, the inflammation, the irritation, the whatever it is. It's your soft tissue pulling on your hard tissue. So I started experimenting. I did some research to see which muscles were attached to the C4 vertebrae. And then I started searching for the trigger point that caused the referred pain. I found it to be in my anterior or middle scaling. So those muscles are located, here's my SCM. Your scalenes are posterior and kind of under your SCM. And when I was massaging and feeling around in there, I found a spot right here. And when I push on that spot, I feel the pain back in my vertebrae, and it also shoots down my neck. Referred pain is very important to find, because if you only work on the vertebrae where you're feeling the pain, where the client is feeling the pain, that's going to give them some pain relief. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the spot right there. You found it. But you didn't actually find what's causing that pain. So unless you find the muscle, that trigger point where the muscle is locked up, contracted, where it got damaged, where it got injured, if you don't find that spot and release it, and you only release the tension around the actual pain site itself, you will get the client or yourself to experience temporary relief, but not as long-term relief as if you can find the spot in the muscle belly itself that is triggering and causing that pain. So just remember this concept. Remember how important referred pain is. And if you're feeling pain somewhere in your body, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what's the root? Where is it coming from? Because I feel it here, I've learned it usually isn't coming from there. That's where it ended up. And that's where my nerves and my brain are triggering. But that's not actually the root cause of the pain. And finding the root cause of the pain is even more important, in my opinion, than actually finding the pain site itself. Because you can find a lot of roots that people don't even know are triggering things. And that's been my experience with my clients. They're like, you found all the spots I didn't even know I had. And that's because I have become skillful in finding tension points where I can move a body part, a limb, a neck, and I can feel where it's restricted, and then I can feel where the restriction is coming from. And I have to try to remember that concept when I'm working with myself too, just like with my neck. I had been having problems for years with my own neck, and I had thought it was my levator scapula muscle, which also connects to the C4 vertebrae and which goes down into where I was feeling pain as well. And while that was one of the muscles that was causing the pain and also adding to the vertebrae popping out. It wasn't the only one. And it wasn't even necessarily the primary one. And so knowing and being able to research these things, you don't even have to know them. You just have to know how to ask the right questions. That is one of the most important lessons I've learned in my life and also in my career, and every career. With the power of the internet and the power that we have to research and look up anything in seconds, being able to ask good questions and think logically and critically is so important. So I was able to say, oh, it hurts in my neck. And I'm like, well, I don't know which one it is, but I know how to ask the right questions and I know certain things. So I knew how to find my C7 vertebrae. It's the easiest one to find. Is that one that sticks out. And like when you go like this, it pops out. If you go like this and it disappears, you're on C6 instead of C7. And so then I just counted up. Well, this is 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh, it's number 4. And so then I just go and I know certain muscles that are attached to C4, but I also know there were muscles that I didn't remember. And so I can just go look up what muscles are attached to the C4 vertebrae. What are their names? And then I can go and see. And I just started experimenting. And since I knew that I had been working on my levator a lot and I was still having issues, I knew that it was one of the muscles, but it wasn't the only muscles. And when I found that my anterior and middle scalenes are also attached to the C4 vertebrae, and then I learned that they go down and behind your clavicle and into your first rib. And so when I was feeling that and I was doing my stretches to test it out, sure enough, so much tension, so much tightness, and a lot of sensitivity. But when I went up here and I was poking that area, it was showing where the referred pain is. So never forget, your pain isn't always, where you feel your pain isn't always what's causing your pain. And learning to ask, well, what is? If this isn't causing my pain, what is? What connects to this? What else is around this? What, where, why, who? You have to be your own investigator. Get into experimenting, the scientific method. Like learning all of these things and learning about your own anatomy is very fun. It's very empowering. It's very enlightening. And God created our bodies as temples. And He wants the temple to be clean, in good order, and to be taken care of. He doesn't want us to be experiencing these things. And so knowledge is power. Hosea tells us that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And I have found this to be so much true. So much true. I'm good at English too, if you can't tell. And I've found so many times in my life that I was suffering and I was experiencing pain, and I was experiencing difficulties, and I was experiencing chaos because of my lack of understanding, because there was something I didn't understand, and or there was a lie that I was believing that was causing my analytical thinking to come to the wrong conclusion. And so one of the big things they teach us in massage therapy, figure it out, but be willing to be wrong. Be humble. Be willing to say, I thought it was this. It wasn't. Let's try something else. Be willing, because if you aren't willing, if you double down on your belief when you've found evidence that it's not true, that is pride and that is not helpful. And no, your client doesn't want to think that you're wrong and that you don't know what's going on. But at the same time, another thing I've learned, anatomy is so different from everyone. I have many anatomical deviations from the majority of the population. Our muscles are not always attached in the same spots. I am in the 1% that my adductor magnus muscle, which is one of our hamstring muscles, or yeah, I think it's one of the hamstrings. Either that, it's back by them. But it is attached to a different part of my pelvis than 99% of the population. And because of this, it was not responding to typical treatment that should have helped. And when it didn't respond, my instructor, brilliant man, was like, well, in 1% of the population, it's attached over here. And he worked on the secondary attachment site, and I experienced pain relief. Knowledge is power, and being able to use your knowledge in a way that is humble as well as confident is so important. And I'm still working on this balance myself, and I'm still learning new things every day. I'm learning things that I was wrong about. I'm learning things that just need to be tweaked. I'm learning things that I was right about, and now I can build on that knowledge. So keep up the good work. Don't give up. You got this. We got this. But better yet, he's got this. I love you guys. He loves you more. Have a great day, and let's get some pain free.